All right, going to be exciting last round of day number 1 here. And starting it off with the new hotness here, the Hopeless Nightmare. Wilt Leaf Liege? No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
no, unfortunately
Not
not.
this time around.
Not in this deck list here from Nathan Andress.
And the reason why I think that these Hopeless Nightmare cards are really bad against the mono white tokens deck is the deck draws so many cards. And let's say you have 2 cards in hand, but you already have an Enduring Curiosity and, the Caretaker's Talent already in play. You go down to like 1 Carrot Cake or whatever, and you play that, you redraw 2 more cards. You sacrifice it, you draw 2. So the just discard a card clause just is not that good against this deck.
Fountain Port on the board here for Nathan. Get Lost taken care of.
Just discarded it to
Just
Hopeless
discarded
Nightmare.
it, yes, sorry. So we have the Fear of Isolation on the board here, ready to turn sideways.
And is Kaido here? Nope.
Maybe?
Okay.
Nah, not this time around.
But that's another nice piece of technology where I think like the Esper Pixie list is cool, Pixie to pick up more stuff, but Kaido can also pick up stuff, and it's just a good card where Pixie alone, 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, doesn't even have lifelink. It's not even Healer's Hawk, so not great,
Here comes the Carrot Cake. Speaking of things that are not great, depending on who you talk to, I personally enjoy a good Carrot Cake, especially if it summons bunnies,
Yeah, absolutely.
They're so cute and fuzzy.
Yeah, and Carrot Cake, is Miss Landrop here from Nathan, so that is not good at all. And Carrot Cake got to be one of the less exciting cards that you're going to see at an 8-0 list, but it really does tie the room together. Being able to, make sure you hit a land drop, and then the fact that you can trigger the Caretaker's Talent as well as the Enduring Curiosity, both on your turn and your opponent's turn, really leads to just it being a nice card.
Yeah, it's sweet indeed. Caretaker's Talent, one of the powerful classes being introduced in Bloomborough. Again, such a sweet set. Basically, if there's anything cute in Standard, it's Bloomborough.
Exactly.
Now we're going to see land for turn here from Nathan. Finally finds land number 3.
Then if there's
Carrot
anything,
Cake doing a good scry.
Then if there's anything very scary, it's Duskmourn. For sure, for sure.
Oh, boy. Untap. Turn passes back now to Scott Macnamara. This thing's going pretty well here for him, finding a couple of the key enchantments that you hope to see here. Hopeless Nightmare, Nowhere to Run, and we have the Fear of Isolation. Just chipping away at the life total. Nathan Andress is already down to 12.
Yeah, and we've seen Scott already on coverage before, and just also really liked how he handles himself, how he plays. You can just tell by kind of his mannerisms that he's definitely a very skilled Magic player for sure. I've been really impressed by him.
Nice. In for another 2, down to 10 goes Nathan. So still no Kaito. Follow play here. Post-combat main. Are we going to do anything or just sit tight and pass the turn? Nope. Land for turn. And this town ain't big enough. Going to be returning a couple things to hand. And it's going to be both of his things.
Look at that value. Now you can play Hopeless Nightmare again. Discard a card. Fear of Isolation. Bounce it again. Next turn, discard another card.
That's gross.
I think Scott heard me say, it's not a good card in this matchup. But when you cast it 15 times in the first 8 turns, I suppose it's not so bad.
Yeah. It's going to get value the longer the game goes on, that's for sure. I remember seeing this town in Big Enough kind of, getting on the radar. I think it was Team Sanctum of all. They found some convoluted thing with the Team Hero Otters.
Yep. That is definitely where that combination was started, but then everyone's like, okay, even if that Teamer Otters deck, isn't as busted as maybe we thought. I do think it's very good, and it's my favorite deck to play, I'm not going to lie. It's super fun, but a lot of decks are taking that tech from the Team Sanctum of All because they really did it when it comes to Storm Chaser Talent, and this town ain't big enough. Really strong.
Yeah, those 2 cards together just absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
As we see Caretaker's Talent ticking up. And creating a copy of a token on the battlefield. Next turn, these Widow Wabbits are going to be pretty big indeed.
So far, Hopeless Nightmare has had Nathan discard 4 cards. But we are at the spot where I was kind of talking, sure, Nathan's going to keep discarding cards, but he's going to draw 3 cards a turn. You know, so it doesn't really matter that you're discarding a lot because Nathan has infinite cards with just the Fountain Port alone.
Yeah.
Every turn, make a creature, draw a card. So Scott will need a little bit more power to get through here, and it looks like he only has one card. So Scott in this matchup still does want to be finding what's really good against mono white in general, and that's the Kaitos, that's the Enduring Curiosities.
Yeah. Just get more value than your opponent can get with the lands. And here comes, talk about value, Beza, the Bounding Spring. Not going to get the creatures. We'll get the life, and we'll get the card, question mark?
Yeah, won't get the card, I don't think, because Scott has one, but we'll get the treasure from the land. Beza's so good. Incredible card.
I do love how, like, all of the catch-up effects that we've seen the control players, you know, gravitate towards over the last few years, all just kind of smushed into one big old moose. Elk, whatever this thing is.
Pretty much. Timely reinforcement once this card got printed. It's just like, oh, I guess I'm done.
Well, we had a good run.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Back in my day, we cast Rejuvenate. We gained 3 cards, or
Three
gained
life.
3 life, and we drew a card, and we liked
Wow.
it.
3 cards for 2 mana? That's a deal if I ever saw one. Oh boy. So Nathan Andress seemingly stabilizing here at this point. Has a Sunken Citadel down there too to make activating Fountain Port cheaper. Well, in inverted commas, cheaper.
Yeah.
So things looking good here for the mono white side of things.
Definitely stumbled a little bit early. Scott had the nice draw, you know, where Hopeless Nightmare dealt 8. It made Nathan discard a bunch of cards. The Flyers are going to do some work, so I mean, there's still pressure on for sure, but definitely if Nathan has a good draw here, it's still looking totally fine. A Sunfall next turn, for instance, would really do some serious work.
Yes. So down to 9 goes Nathan. Still not too stressed about it. You know, these sirens, or I should say, yeah, that's a 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
If we have no life gain or no interaction at all here.
And there's definitely something that the Dimir decks lose with this kind of version is you don't have those counter spells. Even if you were only playing 2 of either the Phantom Interference or the Spell Stutter, those were still great against mono white where you had the ability to counter a timely Sunfall and just win. So there's still a cost in this matchup. But I do think this version that Scott brought to the table is better than like the Esper Pixie versions against this deck.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really good cards in white to warrant the splash to warrant it being an Esper deck.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, I got to say this Dimir list looks to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so than the Esper list.
Yeah, it looks awesome to me. You know, it looks like a measured approach to the new tech that's been popping up the last couple weeks. And now we see Overlord, another great card against these Flyers, also triggers the Caretakers, and we look at how many cards Nathan discarded and still has a full grip.
Yeah, man. Mono white, being able to draw cards, it's just like exactly what you want. You have the pressure with the creatures, you've got the life gain, you get the card draw in there too. Like, you're going to be sitting pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. So does get in 3 damage here. One of these bunnies is going to get in the way of the Reef. And animating the Reef to me just says, well, Scott does not have a good hand. Probably another land. And this will be a big turn for Nathan. If you can deal with these 3 power where the Flyers with Sunfall or Get Lost, something like that, you feel good. If not, Scott's still looking okay here.
I mean, another carrot cake even, just gain some life. Like, he's not too far off of, you know, just activating the 3rd section there of Caretaker's Talents and just making these little tokens ginormous.
Yeah.
You know, make a couple fish or Fountain Port.
Yeah, that is the thing with playing this mono white tokens deck. I really do like the deck. Being able to just every turn, all you think about is how can I be the most mana efficient? Number 1. Number 2, how can I draw the most amount of cards through my turn and your opponent's turn if you can have the life to spare? And then at some point, you just look down and you're like, oh, I have 5 tokens. If I animate Caretaker's Talent, I can just win the game.
Ooh, Ossification hits the board now, following an Enduring Innocence. So that is going to take care of the Flyer, dealing the most damage. So bye-bye, Fear of Isolation. Now, Scott Macnamara is in a bit of trouble.
Yep, absolutely. And you can tell Nathan is very fluent with this deck, not forgetting any triggers, very, very conscious of everything he can be doing. And now the clock is only 1 damage per turn.
6 turns. What could go wrong?
Yeah, right? A lot.
A lot, for sure, yeah. So Scott hopefully finding something a little more useful on the top of the library. Hopeless Nightmare, though, gonna cause the discard here for Nathan, as well as the life loss. Apologies for the brief break in our broadcast. We just want you to know that this is Magic Spotlight Foundations. We got a cool logo, all right?
It is a cool logo, I must
cool
say.
Yeah, I like
and that transition
Yeah.
between the scenes
Oh, yeah, look at that.
looks really, really nice. So nice, we're showing it to you twice.
Yeah, so we'll get back into the action shortly, friends, but let's just analyze, the game as it stood.
Yeah, so the one thing that was really important here, we're going to get back into this game in no time, but the Hopeless Nightmare there was going to put him down to 4. You can attack down to 3, and then if you have a way to bounce the Hopeless Nightmare, which there is a plethora of them, down to 1 already. So, that was a big card right now to be able to help kind of close the game out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will hopefully get back into the action to show you how that game concluded. From what we saw, it looks like it was going one direction pretty swiftly. But as we join the players back in action here, Nathan's up to 5. So able to get some life-enduring innocence there.
So what looks like happened here is you were at 8, down to 6, attack down to 5. Maybe Enduring Curiosity connected, but with the Carrot Cake here, you can gain 3 life from this. This is what we like to call just about garbage time here, as I think Nathan is gaining full control here.
Do tell, elucidate, what is garbage time?
It means the game is over, but you're playing for such high stakes that you keep playing.
Oh boy. I guess that the clock is a thing. 37 minutes.
That's
anything can happen.
true. That's true. But honestly, really well navigated by both players. I thought they both played very excellent.
Yeah.
Scott just, drew a little bit too many lands at the end, didn't find Kaito, didn't find Enduring Curiosity, and Nathan just barely eked it out here. And, okay, but...
Ooh. Well, there's still things that could happen here. Hang on.
I mean, if there's a Hopeless Nightmare...
Yeah, this could be GG. There's no mana available either for him to sacrifice the food.
Only-
there's the treasure.
Only 1 treasure, but that's not enough.
Oh, no, yeah, that's ossification. Never mind, that's not a land.
If he finds Hopeless Nightmare,
Dun.
it looks like that was a Surveil 2.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Can we find it? Oh, that would be such a sick rip off the top here for Scott.
Yeah, you would feel like you just got away with one for sure.
I don't know how many we have seen cost and hit the bin.
I think there were quite a few, and Scott's been sacrificing them to try to find stuff, so doesn't even have one in play, so you don't have the ability to find Fear of Isolation or anything like that. So, or this town ain't big enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
looks like it's Storm Chaser's Talon.
All right, Storm Chaser's Talon. So we get a little 1/1 down.
And then you get to pay 4 to bring something back, but really what it says is there's a turn of reprieve where, we're going to go back to Nathan's turn. Nathan's going to be able to attack down Kaito, sack the Carrot Cake, go up to 5 at the very minimum.
Yep. So, no big threatening attacker, no evasive creature in the sky anymore here for Scott. So Nathan just has to, put foot and get 15 life points down to 0.
Yeah, and these Caretaker's Talents can boost up these rabbits all the way to 5/5s as well. So, I mean, at the flip side, Nathan can just be close to winning the game, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so, buff up the team. These are, 3/3s now?
Yeah. Or the more measured approach here would just be send the 3 rabbits at Kaito.
No measure, smork.
Yeah.
Whee! What's Beza? She's a 4/5?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4...
So it looks
10.
like...
Okay, so that deals with Kaito. Did any of those creatures go face?
I think they were all Kaito, but you didn't really need to... well, you did have to kill Kaito.
Oh, to kill him, yeah. I suppose.
But I still would have left Biza back, but...
Woo! What's the worst a Widow Otter can do? Corey. It's just a 1/1.
Yeah, it's just a harmless little otter.
Yeah.
I mean, the real thing that it can do is like if I don't remember what Scott bounced, but if it was this town ain't big enough, that was huge. That probably locked it up. But if it was this town ain't big enough, you can bounce one of the blockers, bring your own thing back, maybe play Storm Chaser's talent, level it again, and this town ain't big enough again, attack for 3. Still wouldn't have been enough, but you can do a lot of cool stuff with that
you
combination.
Definitely can.
Yeah.
So no otter on the board. Lay down arms, taking care of that. Gaining some life here for Scott. But, yeah, we're going to see some pretty hefty chonkers flying in here soon for Nathan with that second copy of Caretaker's talent.
Yep, absolutely. And the Overlord comes off impending now as well. So, looks to be like the window is missed here for Scott to be able to come back here. But this has been a great game.
Yeah, that's been sweet. Played out very much like a mid-range matchup.
Definitely, definitely.
Now, Spyglass Siren, take a look-see. Flood Pits Drowner off the top. That's going in the bin. Not what Scott needs right now. Man, he's just digging. What is he hoping to hit here?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything anymore.
Sideboard cards, that's
yeah,
what.
Yeah.
Gix's command would be sweet, but not even because that Caretaker's talent is buffing all the little guys.
Yep.
They're just little guys. No, they're not.
they're swole.
They
swole,
are
yeah,
swole.
Yeah.
They lift. Turn bosses back.
And being very measured about it, just attacking with those two.
Big ol' swing here, and ding ding, we draw some cards off of the talent, courtesy of the insects being made. So now we got card advantage, we've got board presence. We almost have life total advantage here now, too, for the mono-white deck. So.
The only thing Nathan doesn't have going for him is he doesn't draw a card off the Enduring Innocence because the creatures are too big.
Yeah.
Shucks.
Gosh darn it. Dang nabbit, that would have been
Yeah.
sweet. But you know what? Plenty of other ways to draw cards.
And
we're just going to chuck in a replacement basic, because why not?
Yep, here's a Biza to just gain 4 to make sure there's absolutely no corner case that anything can happen. And looks like Nathan's going to be one game away from being XO with a deck that I very much would not have expected to be XO.
Neither.
Like, I think it is a good deck, and if you play against Gruul and red decks all day, maybe we can take a look at what Nathan played against if there was a lot of red decks. But, you know, if you play against that, of course it looks amazing. But if you play against a lot of Dimir, you feel a little bit more sad.
Let's see. He played Celestia Tokens, Dimir Midrange, Mono Red, Dimir Midrange, Azorius Oculus,
Wow,
Golgari
only 2 red decks.
Dimir Fairies, Boros Aggro, and Dimir Enchantments.
Wow, played against a little bit of everything, and it's just kind of been dominating. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, so certainly no, like, clean run through favorite matchups at all here. So Nathan certainly knows the in and outs of this deck, as we can see through his play. Enduring Curiosity makes an appearance, finally, for Scott.
Far too late,
Yeah.
that is for sure.
Cats are never on time, though. Unless it's dinner time, then you will know you have forgotten to feed them.
100%, absolutely. So makes a treasure at end step. That does trigger the Caretaker's talents as well. Value, value, value.
Cards, cards. Give me cards. He's going to have to discard at this rate if he's not careful.
Yep. And now you come down to the spot where Scott does have to start looking over at the clock, be like, okay, I'm going to lose.
Yep.
Do you want to try to maybe play for a draw, or do you want to play for the fact that I need to finish 2 games?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are definitely times with this mono white deck that your matches end up 1-0-1, and that's still a win. You know, like, it's a very slow deck. The games go extremely long with this style of deck by design.
Very, very grindy matchups. As we see lay down arms, take care of the Enduring Curiosity. That's enough for Scott Macnamara to scoop him on up, and we head to sideboard. So, what does Scott need to do against this mono-white deck?
All right, so Scott to prepare for the mono white deck. I love the negates. Bringing those in against Sunfall seems awesome. I would say the Get Out seems okay. That's not really that good. Tishana's Tidebinder, I think, is pretty strong. as well as the Preachers, I think, are pretty solid as well, and the one of Shieldred. The cards I really do want to get out, I don't know if it's for sure correct. Of course, the cut downs, the Nowhere to Run, and I would consider taking out some of the Hopeless Nightmare, but you really need to get the Nowhere to Run and cut downs out immediately, and that's already 6 cards, so that's going to be the first move. And then I think if Scott needs to bring in any more cards, he'll cut some Hopeless Nightmares as they don't look amazing. Definitely not terrible. And then from the flip side here,
there's a Lyra.
Lyra, I'm learning now that that's still in Standard.
What? No,
and,
it just came back.
Okay, that makes more
Foundations,
sense.
yes.
That makes more sense. So don't think we'll see it here, but I think Exercise seems pretty decent. Split Up seems okay.
Authority? Not really.
No, definitely not Authority for this one. Maybe Dusk Animus. Remember, this is closed deck list, and we're going to see Scott take out a lot of removal.
Yep.
So a card like Dusk Animus could be extremely powerful, something you can play early. Same with Lyra. Really depends how much removal Nathan thinks Scott's going to leave in.
So plenty to think about. Taking a look here at Nathan's full deck list. In case you just want to play a bunch of planes and some utility lands in Standard. This is a pretty strong deck to pick up at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah, you know how I was saying Esper Pixie looks really fun to play because it takes so many game actions?
Yeah.
Well, this deck does too, but it also draws a bunch of cards. So I lied. I want to play this deck now.
Well, to be fair, the Demir and Chapman's deck can draw cards. We just didn't really find any.
True, but you can draw more cards
True.
with this mono white tokens deck. So
the kitty cat just didn't show
Count
up
me
in
in.
time.
Absolutely. But like I said, this mono white deck really started off in the metagame as a deck to answer all the red decks. Red was just dominating, and then mono white came to kind of put that deck in check. Then Demir came to put the mono white deck in check, and that was our first rock, paper, scissors metagame. Since then, everything's divulged into a lot more different things, and it hasn't become a rock, paper, scissors metagame at all.
No, it's rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, right?
Yeah, there might even be more. There might be at least 7 different configurations of rock, paper, scissors.
Both players having a great time there in the feature match area. This is a long day, and kudos to both of these players for being 8-0.
Yeah.
The mental strain and drain that this kind of tournament takes on you, and there's still a whole other day to play, Corey.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, you want to just end the night. I've been in a situation like this a few times in previous tournaments, being 8-0, and you make a mistake going into it and maybe you punt a game or something. Dinner just doesn't taste as good.
No.
You want to make sure you play good Magic throughout the day. You can, no matter what, even if you're 8-1, hold your head high and get ready to play the next day.
It's kind of like a big reset, huh?
Yeah, 100%.
Going into day 2. So, leave yesterday behind you, because, that's where it sits. As both players are going to take a look at their opening hands. See if we like what we spy. What can we see in the hand there of Nathan? So an Enduring Curiosity, or Enduring Innocence, excuse me. Couple lands. Is it good enough to keep? Yep, we're good. Let's rock and roll. Spyglass Siren hits the board, starting things off here for Scott. Hopefully he can do a clean 1, 2, 3, 4, go.
Exactly.
This time around.
1, 2, 3 as in Kaito.
Yeah.
That's what you really want against this. There are some answers from the mono white deck, as in Get Lost, but if you don't have Get Lost right away, it is very, very tricky to deal with it. We do see 4 Get Lost as well as 1 ossification in this list, so you have 5 ways to deal with it. But outside of that, Lay Down Arms does nothing. You're not able to kill it. No Sunfalls, Split Up, any of that kind of stuff. So that is what Scott is going to be looking for, is one of those 3 Kaitos.
Cake. Carrot Cake hits the board, makes a rabbit, 2 Spyglass Sirens, and 2 map tokens on the opposing side of the board.
Carrot Cake sounds pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of hungry. So.
Me too. There it is!
Hey! Woo! That's what you want to see if you are a Demir player. So Kaito getting in there. Gonna deal some damage, and we're gonna surveil.
Huge. Huge here.
Nice.
Now, no matter what, Kaito will replace itself. So if there is the get lost, number one, Nathan wastes in air quote, uses up his entire turn dealing with the Kaito. Kaito already drew a card, plus you get 2 maps, which in this matchup, the thing I love to do from the Demir side, I played a ton of this when I was prepping to play in the Arena Champs. I just let these maps sit around, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay,
Nice.
my opponent's at 9, I have 6 maps. You're just like, all right, sack, +1/+1, leave it on top. Sack, and just create a huge attack out of nowhere. You can win the game pretty easily through that.
Not too much mass artifact removal.
Yeah, no, not really. Temporary Lockdown's the only one, but we don't see any in this list. But that is the only tough case. But outside, it's not that good against Demir anyways, because you have 3s, you have 4s, and all that stuff.
Carrot Cake, or excuse me, Get Lost taking care of, Carrot Cake took care of Kaito. He's eating, he's busy. As we now see the ideal curve. This is perfect for Scott, being able to get the kitty cat down on turn 4 after a Kaito. So cards are coming at a good rate here.
Yeah, I'm just getting word, actually. If Nathan wins this game after Scott had this pretty much nut draw, we're just giving him the trophy.
Are we?
It's just over.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
game
All right,
over,
sweet.
so I don't make the rules.
We get to go home tomorrow?
Exactly. Yep,
Whee!
absolutely. It's over.
Okay, all right, now, so Overlord of the Mistmoors hits the board, puts 2 more critters down. So if we are on Nathan's side of things, we're hoping to find one of the card draw engines, We want an Innocence, or we want a Caretaker's Talent, because we're making a bunch of creatures, but we're not really getting that much value off of them.
I mean, to be honest, as it stands right now, the board is at parity.
Yep.
And Nathan might be a little far ahead. Just because you can put one of these 2 flyers in front of this, you can double block the other Curiosity, and, the battlefield is neutralized, and Scott had the best possible draw.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, it's kind of a kick in the shins. But, Enduring Curiosity does come back, so if we do have another creature, there is the Soulstone Sanctuary, if there's absolutely nothing else going on in Scott's hand.
Yep. Still has that going on, and Nathan can be running out of steam a little bit here, but there's always cake. There's always cake to get you a little bit of value.
Yum, 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 yum. I am getting hungry, actually. So, come on, you two, let's hurry things up here a bit as we get another. That could be an enormous Spyglass Siren if we had to go the route that you were mentioning. Just explore a bunch onto one creature and then swinging for lethal.
What's your favorite kind of cake is the real question.
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if this counts, but Dairy Queen's ice cream cake. That's my favorite.
If it has cake in the name, it counts.
Okay,
ooh,
perfect.
Hey, look. We got an Enduring Innocence. Hey, I see your cat and raise you a sheep. Oh, boo. As Tashana's Tidebinder is gonna say, no more counters coming off you.
Well, it stays at 3, but then it will still come down later. But this was just saying I want to get this 3/2 into play.
Yeah.
As there was no other triggered abilities.
Just get some extra cards off of it or kill a thing, something along those lines.
So decides to sacrifice it now, so there's not another Tashana's Tidebinder.
Nice.
Get to draw the card, gain 3 life, scry as well.
Yep. It's all pretty groovy here for Nathan Andress. Scott Macnamara with 2 creatures on the board, one of them being evasive, which is a free card in essence. First things first, though. Are we going to get something out of the way? Sure are.
Okay.
Go for the Throat, takes care of the Curiosity. It'll remain, though, as it's not exiled, but both creatures now get to swing in and chump block here just to prevent the card draw off of the Tidebinder.
Not really worried about the 3 damage, but just making sure to stop the extra card is totally worth it. And now we'll see what Nathan can do here. Nathan is definitely behind now. And honestly, as he should be with how good Scott's draw is, I just keep being impressed with how Nathan is keeping up with this incredibly powerful draw, while being on the draw.
Yeah, that's just nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Alrighty. So we're exploring. What do we find? Land to hand. Gonna use the rest of the mana?
Definitely playing that land drop for sure. See if there is a follow-up to sack some more maps.
Yep. Down to 3 maps. Targeting. Oh, another land. Ugh, that's a flood.
Yeah, I mean, being able to sacrifice these maps and get those lands out of there still looks pretty strong, but big turn for Nathan if he wants any hopes of 2-0ing this match.
Something cool. Something cool. Could make it fishy. Ooh, carrot cake.
And then there's a Biza.
Biza. So that gets us a creature. It doesn't get us a land.
Doesn't get the treasure.
Or excuse me, a
Maybe
treasure.
gets the card.
Maybe gets a card. The fish, though, that's pretty
Yep.
sweet. Curiosity trigger.
Yep. Gets a lot of value. And then during Innocence you can stack it so you put it behind Biza so you get to draw a card and then draw another card even if, you're passing the amount of cards of your opponent as well. It works favorably there.
Nice. Did he draw 2 cards off of Innocence?
It should have drawn 2, one off Biza, one off Innocence.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Just making sure it wasn't 2 off the Innocence there.
Yeah.
Because this ability only triggers once per turn.
That would not be good. Man, that card would be so
It would be busted.
if that triggers multiple times. Ooh, Elspeth's Smite here.
Hi-ya!
Very strong play here, preventing not only 1 damage, which is trivial, but preventing Scott from drawing a card.
Yep.
And now, all of a sudden, advantage bar to Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Truly impressive showing so far.
Back in my day, we had advantage bars. All the new players are just like, what's that?
Exactly.
Someone should open an establishment called the Advantage Bar.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, come on.
Want to start a business?
I mean, sure, if you're paying for it.
Seems like too much work.
Alrighty, what are we doing here, Mr. Macnamara? What you got? Okay. Fear of isolation. Gonna just bounce. Hey, wait.
Bounce him out. Get it out of there.
What if you bounce the cat?
You could to
Yeah?
get the body back
Yeah.
for sure. Yep. But honestly, Enduring Curiosity is safer as an enchantment.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't die to lay down arms, Sunfall, any of that
sure.
kind of stuff. So, I like having it as the enchantment in the mono-white matchup.
Okay. Another copy of good old Overlord of the Mist Moors and it's deja vu. Another copy of Tishana's Tidebinder. Gonna jump in here and prevent that from happening. So no 2/1 flyers.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. And this is why Tidebinder is so good in the matchups.
Yeah.
You just have so many things to do. But
Jeez.
how about another one?
What?
Why not? Draw another card.
I, for one, welcome our Overlords.
Yeah.
Good grief. 3 of them.
Oh, man.
So those Tishana's Tidebinders, they've shut down the other 2?
They have, but it is just
It's
an
still
enchantment
just-
now, so
yeah.
it does not do anything
Okay.
like you would want it to.
All right,
Yeah.
so they do still keep ticking, and now this is just
Yeah.
like a doomsday clock going off here.
Yeah, 100%, and this game is looking as close to unwinnable for Scott as it possibly gets.
Yeah.
Even after this phenomenal start, I would shrug after this game if I'm
Yeah.
Scott, be like, I did everything I could.
Yep.
I was on the play. When he saw that opener and how he was curving, it's like, okay, so now I just got to figure out how to win on the draw. But
Yep.
as it stands, Nathan had an amazing draw, and I'm just ready for our new carrot cake overlords here to take over standard again.
Oh man, look at the art. Look at those 2 bunnies. They're rabid rabbits. I tell you.
Yeah. Do you think if Nathan wins this whole tournament, he's obligated to go get some carrot cake?
Yes.
I would think so.
Yep. Unless he's allergic, then in that case, no.
Okay. Yep.
So we're gonna see a couple of insects jump in the way of our fear of isolation.
Even if that's a quote-unquote unfavorable trade as you're losing 2 creatures to 1, when you're playing this mono-white deck, you're just like, here's resources,
Yeah.
because you just keep drawing all the time. You never run out of gas.
Yep. And, you're going to have replacements pretty soon because one
Yep.
of these overlords is about to become a body.
Gosh. Basically every turn here for the next couple turns.
Oh, gosh, another land. Scott is just,
Yeah.
Yeah, shake of the head there. I agree with you, man. That's rough.
And the problem is, from Scott at this point, when you're in this matchup and your opponent's at 20 life, there's not a lot of catch-up mechanisms.
Okay.
Sure, you have the Storm Chaser's talent with this town ain't big enough as, the ability to keep going long, but, you're just too far behind and you don't play enough removal spells to deal with these overlords.
Yep.
You know, that's why the one thing that is really nice in Dimir against mono white, Fairy Mastermind. You draw enough cards where you keep up with these mono white decks, and without it, you're playing Fear of Isolation instead. It's a
Yeah.
huge, huge downgrade.
Yep. I mean, Fear of Isolation, I get it. It's cute. You know, it does the whole bouncy thingy, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's impactful enough. Doesn't
No.
feel like it's doing enough for you to help you win the game.
For what it's worth, I do think it is good. And I do think it's probably better than Fairy Mastermind, just specifically in this matchup and up against the Sultai Terror Beans matchups.
Yeah.
I would rather have Mastermind than the other stuff.
Yeah.
But every other matchup, Fear of Isolation seems awesome to me.
Another copy of Enduring Innocence hits the board, so more cards, more value. Nathan is just steamrolling his way
Yeah.
into an undefeated record here on day 1 of Magic Spotlight Foundations.
Yep. Looks like this one's all but over here. Just going to keep drawing a bunch of cards.
Yep.
The Enduring Innocence that's flipped. The other Endurance would trigger it, and then when you make another carrot or something, only one of them would trigger.
Yes.
So maybe he drew 2, or I didn't see exactly what happened that we're getting judge calls, but
Yep. We'll get the resolution here as soon as we can, just to see what the question was and what the resolution is. But yeah, the first Innocence would draw a card off of the new Innocence, and then only the second Innocence should trigger with a new token creature being made.
Yeah. So it looks like they have figured it out,
Yep.
and we'll continue the mono white token domination show here. And now I think Nathan's just thinking, okay, is it time to start turning the corner, or do I just keep chilling? You know, I mean, Nathan can just say go,
Yeah.
end step, put in a fish or a treasure,
Yep.
draw
all
2
the
cards.
Yep.
Like,
You know, like having won game 1, there's no real pressure for him to win game 2 in time.
yeah.
You can just sit here and kill the clock. This deck can definitely do it.
There's also the flip side of that where Nathan loses game 1 and there's almost no way he's going to win the match.
Yep.
You know, so like there is good and bad when it comes to these
Yeah.
mono white decks. And there's always one of these really slow, grindy decks in standard where
Yep.
like sometimes you look at players that are inexperienced with the deck and playing fast. Keeping your opponent playing fast, that's another thing you have to do, you know. Sometimes you're not here to make friends and you got to
Yep.
hustle a player that's chatting too much or whatever.
Yep.
And you look at some of their records, they're like, all right, you were 3, 3, and 3. You know, like that stuff really does happen. You have to make sure you play fast. You have to make
Yeah.
sure your opponents play at a respectable pace as well.
And if they don't, call a judge.
You gotta, you know,
Yep. You're not the bad guy. You just want to get your games of Magic done.
yeah.
Draws are not fun.
Unless they call a judge on me, then not cool. No, I'm just kidding. I always play very fast, very quick.
We should just go and borrow 2 decks after this. Let's just
You want a
go.
battle? Okay,
Yeah, sure.
okay,
Why
I'm
not?
in. I'm in.
All right. We made a fish. We're going to draw some cards. And, yep, this is just garbage time. Here we go.
Yep.
Corey's coin phrase here, as Laid on Arms does take care of the critter on the other side of the board. Here comes an otter.
Yep, and you know, that's another one of the low-key best aspects of this deck is you get to play Swords to Plowshard in
it's
standard.
cool.
You know, like Lay Down Arms is that good, but it's a real cost. Having to play only planes, like you can't play that many non-plane lands.
And there's 14 planes in the deck, and there's a bunch of utility lands. So,
Yeah.
you know, it still finds targets, though, because, like, no one's really doing the big go-over-the-top stuff, except for maybe, like, the Beanstalk decks playing the
Yeah.
Civic Terrors and, the Talarian Terrors and the Crabs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Overlords are maybe hard to
Yeah,
exile with
sure.
that card or whatever, but there it is.
Yeah,
There's the
Dusk
Dusk
Animus.
Animus, which is really nice.
Huh.
Another one of the most unbeatable cards in Limited.
Yeah. Just have to remind myself what this guy does. Is it
Exactly.
plotted or is it on the board?
I'm not sure. I would assume you just play it. You already have the lands, but I guess you would get the counters.
Yeah,
so
you want the counters if you have 5 untapped lands.
yeah, probably plotted it. Make any game actions, Nathan. You're fine. It's
Yeah.
all good.
There we go. All
There,
right, so
it's plotted.
it's plotted. I was about to say it's on an adventure. It's essentially the same thing, but not really.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
hey, Kaito's here. Hi, bud.
Yep.
Help! Help!
Need a lot of help from this Kaito.
What do you even do, though? You just, like, tap something down?
I mean, at this point, I take the Kaito out. I look on the back, make sure there's not more abilities I'm forgetting about. Realize there's not, and, you know, like, just give it up, I guess. But
Oh, boy. This is so rough for Scott, man.
yeah.
That's some bad beats, but, you know, like, we had to look at what Nathan's trip was here. So let's have a look at Scott, see what he's been facing.
Well,
in
you're checking
Environment.
out that next turn at during Nathan's turn on just surface value. You're gonna put 2 6/6 overlords into play, a 4/5 Baneslayer at home. Plus, you're gonna have the ability to draw 3 cards off activating one of the fountain parts. That's the very minimal that Nathan's
boy.
gonna do without any cards in hand.
That's nuts. So, to get to 8-0, Scott has gone through Golgari Reanimator, Selesnya Midrange, Boros Convoke, Selesnya Tokens, Mono White Tokens, Esper Pixie, Gruul Aggro, Dimir Midrange, and now Mono White Tokens. So, again, a pretty wide spread of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just standard right now. It is unbelievable. It's such a
Jeez.
good format right now. You know, having 14% as our highest deck, anytime we see that as broadcasters, we basically jump up and down because
Yeah,
we're going to
it's like,
see
woohoo!
we're going to see a lot of deck diversity. And, you know, it's just as important for us as it is for the players. You know, you feel like you had a lot better time when you don't play like 5 mirrors and like 2 times against Gruul or whatever. You know, it's just, it makes for a great tournament experience for everyone.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, back when Teferi was the only thing being played from the control side of things, like, oh, I feel for all of the aggro players that had to go through that.
Can we still be friends if I was if I tell you I was one of the Teferi
Oh, I
gamers?
know you were. I know you were. I know you like Yorion as well, so.
Yes. Excellent.
That was so sinister. Jeez.
It was. I was just thinking all the good times with Yorion, you know?
Ugh. Stupid bird serpent. Hopeless Nightmare hits the board. Nathan.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it. Nathan and Andress picking up the victory.